To put this in perspective, my daughter, 18, is autistic and has wanted to attend college for several years now. She just graduated high school. However, due to Asperger's, she prefers that word. She's often extremely naive and has on multiple occasions gotten herself into trouble for blindly doing the dirty deeds of school bullies. She often needs to be told how to do things that many neurotypicals her age know how to do. Other than that, she's very book smart and earned a 3.75 GPA in high school. There's a school in Western Florida called Pensacola Christian College, PCC, that my wife and I believe would suit her best. We're not very religious, but PCC is the best choice because it offers a sheltered, secure, and strict environment. For instance, they have a demerit system that keeps students accountable for their actions, and a student court is required for each offense. Also, there are many required events that not even most Christian colleges have. These include mandatory attendance at fine arts plays and commencements, and every undergraduate student is assigned to a gender-segregated society, Greek life. From what I've gathered, this is to keep a sense of community within the college and to keep the traditions of Bob Jones University alive, the alma mater of the PCC founders. There's also a campus-wide curfew to keep students safe. We did a tour of the university campus last November, and it's beautiful. She also enjoyed it and the chapel service that was included. Unfortunately, she's now decided that she doesn't want to attend this college because she read the student handbook. Particularly, she's not fond of their strict rules. However, we've already paid tuition, which is extremely cheap for a private university. My wife and I consoled her and told her that we must try to overcome the challenging aspects of life. These rules are out in place for the student's safety. We even told her that the college has a hotel that parents and visitors can lodge at and that she can invite us whenever she wants. She still doesn't want to go, but we told her that since we've already paid tuition, she needs to attend for at least this semester. Then she can drop out and transfer if she chooses. You are the idiot. I'm reading their student handbook now, and I'm not surprised she doesn't want to go. It is far too strict. There are rules about how to dress. Women can't wear trousers outside their residence hall. How long men's hair is allowed to be. No dyeing hair, bright colors, and no piercings or tattoos. No smoking or drinking, even off campus. No attending a movie theater or a concert. No listening to unsuitable music. No watching TV or movies with any adult themes. It goes on and on. It's ridiculous. Either you trust your daughter as a young adult to handle herself in the real world or you don't. If she can't go to college and make her own choices, then she shouldn't go. Wrapping her in cotton wool and forcing her to go to a strict college won't do any good. How's she supposed to survive after college when she's on her own without any rules? OMG, I looked at the website, and that is absurd. No way to prepare her for adult life. STEM courses based on the Bible? Yeah. Stairwells, parking lots, and elevators are segregated by gender? Opposite genders are not allowed physical touch and need a chaperone and school-administered pass to hang out. They're only allowed to patronize businesses authorized by the uni. Worldly music is banned. This is insane. Closer to a prison than a university. They assign guards to follow and watch students who break the rules. I feel bad for OP's daughter. My daughter can't make decisions for herself, and it's a problem. I decide for her and see no problem in this. Who wants to bet she's naive? Not because she's autistic, but because her parents have made sure she remains sheltered. That place sounds like a full-on cult. Yeah, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. Your daughter's an autistic female teenager who's particularly vulnerable to bullying and manipulation. So you want to send her to a religious college? This can't be real. Sending your daughter is dangerous. Let her go to an actual community college, not a non-accredited place that only seeks to control. Until me, anyone in my family who had kids did so by the time they were 27. Generally, 21 was when my family members started having children. My parents were 19 when they started having kids. Their parents were about the same age as well, and my siblings all had kids before 25. They also finished having their children in their 20s and are very conscious of that. I, 39 female, was the exception. I wasn't married or having kids in my 20s. This was something my family all highly judged me for because they knew I did want to have children. They all told me I was going to be so ancient when I had them. They made a big deal about me being too old for having children and not being fair to the kids because I'll be old while they'll still be young, and how much better it is to be active and capable of running around after them and to be the active grandma when they have kids, etc. It was really toxic, and my husband, who was only a boyfriend at the time, was stunned by the attitudes of my family. I had told him how they were, but it really takes hearing the crap they spew for it to sink in. I didn't feel ready in my 20s despite my family's norm. We never had a lot, and financially it was a struggle. I see and saw my siblings struggling, as well as aunts, uncles, cousins, etc. That's what was expected. And part of that was that they were all so young and had these bigger families, 5 to 7 kids average. And I think waiting would have helped that some. But do I judge them? No. I just wanted something different. I'm glad I waited. I had my 3 children at 33, 35, and 36 years old, and we're in a good place to raise them. I went low contact with my family for several years because the comments were no longer okay with me, and they couldn't respect my decision to wait. The number of ancient and geriatric comments I got was crazy, and I was 29 when I went low contact. Recently, my siblings and my parents, to a lesser degree, have been accusing me of rubbing their noses in vacations I take with my husband and kids, and the gifts we buy. One of my sisters said her kids were mad that my oldest had their birthday party at the trampoline park, and they never got to go. She told me I was really making all my nibblings feel bad about it. My mom told me I act so much better than them by taking my kids on vacations at such a young age, instead of having them wait until adulthood, like we all had to. The messages annoyed me until I decided to make a group chat. I wrote to them that this ancient geriatric mom had no time for their jealousy and that I would not apologize for the decisions I made to wait or to enjoy being able to treat my kids. I told them that if they could not stop, low contact would become no contact. They accused me of taunting them and lashing out unnecessarily. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They're judgmental as heck and jealous too. They made their choices. You made yours. And there's a difference between actively rubbing someone's nose in something and rubbing their nose in something like, we're going to the trampoline park for X's birthday. Did I tell you about the trampoline park? Here are pictures of all of us at the trampoline park. Have you ever been to a trampoline park? That's rubbing their noses in it. Simply having a party there and inviting them is not rubbing noses. Their noses may be out of joint, but that's not your fault. They also choose to keep looking at photos of things you do that you post online. You're good to go low contact. They sound incredibly toxic and jealous, and you don't need that bad energy. Jesus, I want to cry just reading that sentence about 5 to 7 kids average. My primary opinion on how many kids someone should have is an amount that the parent can comfortably support so that the family's not left in financial hardship. I'm sorry, but I can't conceive of anyone who can comfortably support 5 kids nowadays unless they're well on their way to being millionaires. And even less, I can't conceive of being able to support them comfortably when they're having these kids so young. Cut them off. They sound absolutely miserable to deal with. I really hope the nibblings follow your example and wait. So my kid was born on the 31st of December and is now young school age. And each year we celebrate by having a family lunch at our house with my husband's family since mine's in a different country. My sister-in-law got married 3 months ago and had a celebration lunch 2 weeks after. There we met her new in-laws, but we never connected or exchanged more than hello, how are you, goodbye. So they're practically strangers. They didn't interact at all with my kid. Now comes my kid's birthday, and my sister-in-law says that her in-laws will be in town so they would come to the birthday lunch as well. I didn't feel like having strangers in the house for that special day. My kid didn't want them around, so I told my sister-in-law that she and her husband are welcome to come, but her in-laws can find something else to do for 3 hours. So here's what my sister-in-law decided to do. She came and brought over her son, left him for the day to spend time and play with my kid. Then she said to her mom and her brother, not my husband, to join her, her husband, and her in-laws for a morning coffee. The morning coffee turned into lunch, which turned into no one showing up for my kid. Around 5 p.m., I told my husband to call her and tell her to pick up her kid. I was done babysitting him. She comes alone and sees we didn't cut the cake. So she says, come on, let's sing and cut it. My kid didn't want to. She wanted to leave it for later and just do it with her dad and me. The sister-in-law kept at it. Her son said he wants to try the cake. So reluctantly, we sang happy birthday and we cut it. They had a slice and left. I also gave them a piece of cake to take with them for the in-laws. My husband and I decided to do at least something special for the day. I won't say how sad my girl was, so we went bowling. First time for my kid. While in the car, my brother-in-law sends me a message saying that after the outing, he was sleepy and went to bed, and now he wants to come over and give the gifts to my kid. I tell him we're not home. While we're bowling, my mother-in-law calls my husband. It was around 7 p.m. by now, and says she wants to pass by to give my husband a sweet that she had prepared. I blow up and tell my husband, no one is welcomed anymore. We'll go home and rest so we can be up for the New Year's fireworks. So long story short, because I didn't invite the in-laws of my sister-in-law to my kid's birthday party, no one showed up. Cherry on the cake is that I've been told that I'm the idiot for making my sister-in-law choose between my kid and her in-laws, or for not celebrating the birthday another day. So who's the idiot here? Also, for the past 4 days, my sister-in-law keeps on asking to meet, which she never did before, which I gently refuse because I'm not ready to see her yet. Was it something so small that I should just forget about it? Also, I forgot to mention that all of them anyhow had a lunch date at sister-in-law's house the next day, on the 1st of January. I'm really confused here. Your kid's grandma didn't show up to a kid's birthday party because they went out for coffee instead? OMG, not the idiot. Grandma is also awful, not just sister-in-law. Well, we know who's the golden child now. I am horrified. It's easy to say, I'm sorry, it's my granddaughter's birthday party. I have to go now. If you can't rely on them for this, you can't rely on them for anything. Your husband's whole family are idiots. They completely blew off your child's birthday for coffee, which they could have at any other time. You and your husband are idiots for pandering to your sister-in-law when she demanded the cake be cut. Your child wanted to save it for you and your husband. No means no, end of. Your husband needs to talk to his family and tell them how they treated your daughter was horrible and frankly pathetic, and they should apologize. Yeah, I would have cut the cake and smashed it in her face, to be honest. Anybody who blew off my kid's birthday party would be someone I didn't speak to for months. They showed that your kid is at the bottom of their priorities, so they're now at the bottom of yours. They don't get to come over. They don't get to blame you for their cruelty, and they don't get to act like they didn't do this to your child because they wanted to punish you. Growing up, my father was a jerk to me and my mother. She never stood up for herself or me. When I turned 17, I called my father out for his behavior, so my parents cut me off financially as punishment. I moved in with a friend and her parents and then got myself to college. I refused to speak about what happened, embarrassed for not standing up to my father sooner. After college, I was surprised to learn that so many of my high school teachers and friends' parents were proud of me for escaping a bad situation, as I never realized anyone even knew what I had to put up with. Now my parents are elderly, and my mom says that my father forgives me for my bad behavior, e.g., I didn't want to celebrate holidays with my family, as my father would get jealous if I had more presents than he did. My mother wants me to come home to heal the family. My father still denies his behavior and says I've torn the family apart for not treating him with the respect he's owed as the parent. When I try to help my mother, as her health isn't great, he becomes angry and takes it out on her. I just emotionally don't want to enter that situation again and refuse to visit or allow my father into my house. Now my mother's angry with me, saying that I'm being selfish for not being willing to put aside my feelings to do this before she dies. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your father forgiving you is exactly why you don't need him in your life. There's nothing for him to forgive. He should be asking for forgiveness. You don't have to let that toxicity back into your life to keep the peace. It's your father who's ruining the family, not you. Stay strong. Absolutely. I could easily flip this around on her. My relationship with my father is not mine to fix. I can't mend a relationship with someone unwilling to meet me even halfway. This is my boundary. You can accept it and have me as part of your life while you're dying, or you may once again place your abuser's feelings above yours and mine and can die without me. That's harsh, but not as harsh as kicking out your 17-year-old. Honey, both parents are manipulative and abusive, and they're the selfish ones. Protect your own emotional and mental well-being by looking after yourself first. They're not going to look after you. It sounds like they never have, so you must do it. Block them if need be. Why would you want to listen to their complaints and demands? I was at a bookstore last night after work. When I got to the register, it was empty. A moment later, an employee came back around with another customer. The other customer got in line behind me while still chatting with the employee. I could tell the employee was a little uncomfortable as she called me forward. The other customer stood literally right behind me as the employee kept doing the brush off of, "Yeah? Oh, really? Wow." The other customer was talking about how she had recently been diagnosed with cancer, going into details about the treatment she'd need, etc. Finally, she was quiet when it was clear the employee was focused on my transaction and trying to ask me the whole, "Do you have a rewards card? Do you want one?" etc. spiel. That's when the other customer turned to me and started giving the same story. I said I was sorry to hear about her diagnosis and went back to speaking to the employee. The customer still kept talking right in my ear, saying, "Yeah, I'm so angry. Why'd this have to happen to me?" Finally, I told her, "You need to back up and give me some space. Stop interrupting our conversation." She started saying, "I have cancer. I need to vent." I said, "Again, sorry to hear that, but we are not your therapist. Back up." She backed up and went silent. Employee looked relieved. I told my wife what happened and she told me I was rude. The woman was clearly going through something. I said as a former retail worker, I despise people who unloaded their days on me, and she was clearly making the employee uncomfortable while also standing right next to me. Wife said I was still wrong. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Would love to see how your wife deals with something like this. She needed to be told. I have worked retail and this is a hard situation. You can't be rude and at the same time, this person is making it very hard for you to do your job. She needed to vent, no doubt, but you can't go around talking at strangers like that. This is why bartenders deserve big tips and why therapists have jobs, so people can vent to them. OP, you were a customer. You didn't have to stay and listen. It's literally not your job to listen to the random lady, and unlike the cashier, you could leave. I feel bad for the store worker, but this whole thing was not your problem. Former retail here too. It's sad, very sad, that these people have no one else to talk to, but we're not there to be trauma dumped on. I don't mind spending 15 minutes listening to someone talk about their begonia bushes, but I don't want to stand there listening to how Uncle Gary touched every kid in the family before Grandpa took him out for a drive in the old pickup and came back by himself. Retail workers are not therapists, and you did that cashier a favor.